Hi, yes, I'm still alive. If you couldn't tell, I haven't uploaded for a while now. Pretty much right after I uploaded my last video, a whole bunch of personal stuff happened, causing me to, take a mini hiatus. I was supposed to make a video in regards to the whole Yandere Simulator art contest, but I never did. I still did enter. So if you do still want to see my entry even though the contest is closed, it is listed below. Do note it is a little bit gory. Anyways, I'm super happy that I am back now, and hopefully we won't have month gaps between videos. I do want to say before we get into the main chunk of the video, thank you all for the support on my last video. It was the quickest growing video I ever had on my channel. Well, even though the video had flaws, it's nice to see some of my content that I actually put effort into getting traction rather than having an old ass rant video that I made when I was 11. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Crystal Review. Anyways, we are back to redesigning some more Yandere Simulator characters. This time we are going to be redesigning the school bullies, since they won the poll vote. To be honest, I don't mind these character designs. They are simple enough to give you the vibe of the whole Mean Girl aesthetic, but I guess that they're kind of just uninspired. I mean, at first glance, these girls look like the same character, just with a different hairstyle and different color clothing. It sucks because these girls are based off of a Japanese fashion trope, Garu. A quick blurb about Garu and the culture surrounding it. It was a huge fashion craze back in the 90s and early 2000s all over Japan. Apparently, this was inspired by the series Baywatch. Common characteristics of this fashion was big, curly, blonde and brown hair, pink clothing, tons and tons of accessories, heavy makeup, and tan skin. There's many different variations of Garu fashion, ranging from pink frills to even punk inspired. It can be questionable at some times when it comes to a certain amount of tanning, but otherwise a very interesting fashion phenomenon that has a lot of design potential when it comes to these characters. Right now, I think the main distinction between these characters are the color of their clothes. I hope to make designs that are distinct enough so we don't have to rely on that whole color trope so much. It does work, but it's not the most effective when you're trying to come up with memorable character designs. Anyways, like always, sit back, grab a snack, and let's get on to redesigning. This time around, I'm not really going to explain my process of redesigning each character. I'm just going to explain one. It's pretty much the same process for each character, just tweaked a little bit based on their design. Also, I'm going to be talking about a lot of stuff today, so I didn't feel like it would flow nicely if I'm talking about a random topic, then stop to explain design. I'll show the before and after for each character so you know who is who. I guess you can say it's a little bit of a guessing game. So first character I redesigned was Masumi Ronshaku. If I'm not mistaken, she is the leader of the group. She also has the most development in the game currently due to her having a side story involving her father's loan shark agency. Something that I tend to do in these redesigns videos is to fix a character's personality if it's a little underdeveloped in some parts. I really didn't feel like I needed to do this with the bullies since they all have pretty clear motives on why they act this way, whether that's due to past experiences or just their nature. Masumi is described to be a very spoiled brat due to her family's wealth. I actually liked her design quite a bit in the past that I made my own Yandere Simulator OC based off of her. Yes, my username used to be Lavalam Roblox. I was like 10 at the time. The type of Garu design I went for Masumi was Heimgaru. Heimgaru translates to Princess Scowl. I thought they would fit perfectly into the whole daddy's little princess trope. Something that I did a lot for these redesigns is explore the different subcategories of Garu fashion for each character. While they share a lot of similarities with each other, they also are very different. It's kind of sad that they never got explored more with the original designs. Now, since I got all that fun stuff out of the way, let's talk about the concerns that I've gotten on my last redesign video. I did address some of the most frequent comments that I received in the pinned comment, but I feel like I can better address my thoughts and opinions in a video format. Besides, it will also get rid of my wanting to do commentary itch. Something I want to explain is my actual thoughts on Yandere Simulator. Let me make this clear, I don't mind the game. I know from all the jokes and shit that I've made throughout this series, a lot of people have gotten the impression, especially from my last video, that I'm some angry SJW who wants to make everything morally correct. In reality, I'm not. I don't mind Yandere Simulator, and I don't mind games taking on more questionable topics. The game has good bones and the potential to be a very unique indie game, but it has so many jarring issues that it just can't support these types of ideologies without it going, terribly. One of the things that I've learned from being a Yandere Simulator fan ever since 2016 is Yandere Dev wants to please himself and his following to the point where it's ruining the game. This started out as some man's passion project, but quickly turned into a huge commercial video game. It has caused so many issues. Yandere Dev has focused on a lot of the details while letting the structure deteriorate so much. It's probably one of the most common critiques that he has received over the years. It's why I started this whole series in the first place, because like I said previously, the game can still be saved if enough thought is put into it. So let's talk about some of the faulty structure in this game. Let me flat out say this, the age system in Yandere Simulator does not make fucking sense. This isn't something you normally have to put that much thought into while playing a game, but when that said game covers topics like murder and relationships, it needs to be addressed in some sort of context because it will most likely cause a controversy later down the line. One of the most common comments I got on my last video in regards to having the student-teacher relationships being portrayed in a game is, Japan's age of consent is 13, so it's okay. It's true, and I know it sounds, concerning. People tend to throw this argument everywhere, especially in regards to talking about sexual activity amongst minors and adults. I fucking hate it because no one seems to understand how consent actually works. Just because you're 13, you can't have sex with someone who's like 26. Yes, a 13-year-old can consent to sexual activity according to Japan's laws, but there's a certain age range, otherwise it will be counted as statutory rape. I also tend to get confused with this logic, considering that this game follows the American model of 18 plus means that you're adult. In Japan, you're not actually considered adult till you're 20. Also, in regards to the student-teacher relationships, they're completely illegal in Japan, and teachers can lose their jobs and, depending on the circumstances, can even face jail time. When I was reading and responding to comments about age portrayal in Yandere Simulator, I remember seeing a line disclaimer that addressed age in Yandere Simulator, and I thought, well, maybe this could clear up a lot of the confusion. It says, all characters depicted are 18 or older, even if otherwise specified. I read this and I was like, that actually explains, wait, did that say even? Even if they're specified to be like a baby, they're actually 18? If you know what I'm thinking, you can kind of tell that this is some sort of scapegoat for Yandere Dev in regards to any controversy that may have come from having explicit content, but also having minors in the game. To be honest, I do understand, even though the statement does not make sense at all. It's going to be really hard to make a game that involves potentially murdering minors without getting any controversy from that. Notice how I worded that sentence. I didn't say it was completely impossible because we have some clear examples of games touching on more controversial topics, like FNAF, which is literally based around dead children and their killer. But do note, that game still has controversy surrounding it. I don't believe there is a way to portray these types of things in a light where you will get no criticism. You just kind of have to find a way to do it respectfully and almost condemn these actions from happening. One of the most common solutions that I see to this issue is, well, Yandere Dev should just make the game take place in college. And I do feel like this could remove the whole child murder stigma that surrounds the game, But I also understand why high school is a more appealing environment for a game to take place in. But there's also another region which I will talk about. Something that I've touched upon while doing this series is characters, designs, stories, development, and etc. I kind of feel bad talking about this stuff since, the game isn't finished yet, so we don't have an accurate representation on how certain characters will act once they're in their school's environment. But holy shit, I'm going to say that these characters really lack any sort of uniqueness. Of course, each character has their own personality, or maybe if they're important enough, they might walk differently. Everyone else just feels very unorganic. Something that I've noticed while playing the game is that the school environment had little to no personality whatsoever. All the characters just felt like obstacles for the game to be somewhat harder. It's not like this would be hard to fix because a lot of fan games like Washi no Moto and Shall I Say Love Letter even accomplished this with their first few months of development. It's a major issue with the game and something we tend to see a lot when talking about RAIBARU, to a point where Yandere Dev himself even had to address it. Yandere Dev's main issue isn't his jumbled coding or his arrogance, it's the fact that he doesn't know how to develop a game. I know. That sounds ironic because we've been hearing it for months going on years in this community now. But it really shows with how he abuses certain characters. He doesn't understand how to develop a story to make the game naturally feel harder over time. So he abuses that high school setting because, if there's people around everywhere and literally having a character acting like a bodyguard all the time to the first rival, the game won't feel that easy. It's bad, and like I said, it makes the game just feel very unnatural. From what I gather through watching all of his various update videos, his main goal for this game was to have the rivals progressively get stronger over time. I don't think he ever planned on how they would get to this point though. I do know that he tends to rely frequently on the physical strength of the character, which isn't a bad idea, but are there other ways to create natural obstacles so your game doesn't feel like a school full of soulless zombies? Yes. I think a good way to start is to just study Japanese schools and what events or activities they tend to participate in. This is a Japanese school after all. A lot of them tend to hold class festivals, trips, and exam that could potentially provide obstacles as well as a more restricted environment. I know Yandere Dev can do this because he actually done something very similar before in regards to the whole stalker elimination side quest, which I thought was probably one of the most enjoyable and eventful parts of the demo. It would be cool to explore this type of gameplay more in the game. Another issue that I do feel is talked about is how the game is represented. Can I say it does not give off a great first impression? No matter what, I believe this game will always have some sort of negative footprint, even if the game turns out to be some sort of diamond in the rough. There's nothing you can do about it but control how the game is perceived outside of that. I'm going to say it. I can never take this game seriously because I don't think the game itself takes it seriously. From the beginning of development, Yandere Dev has catered a lot to his audience. I've said this before and I will say it again. He has said this himself various times because he doesn't want the game to lose traction. This is why we tend to see frequent updates adding things like Easter eggs and stupid shit, because he gotta keep those people happy. This is a smart idea from, maybe a business standpoint, but he really shot himself in the foot. Since this game has picked up more traction and actually gained the potential and support to become a real game, he believed that Yandere Simulator had the potential to develop into something else. This being a game with a more serious tone and more story-driven plot. But since he portrayed this game as being something more spoofy, it will be hard to make the adjustments to be more serious. To be honest with you, he would probably be better off starting from scratch. Even though the game wouldn't get the best shelf life in the world, it would have been interesting instead of going for the more serious tone that he decided to play more with the anime tropes present in the game. I think it would help a lot of the issues that people have with the game and still make it marketable. It's better to be something stupid than something you're not. So that pretty much concludes today's video. Let me know in the comment section below, what do you like about these designs? What would you change? What are your design ideas? And what are your thoughts on some of the stuff that I said in the video? Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed, and goodbye.